And here we are again on Tuesday Night Live after a massive win against Sydney. We've got Pete, Nikki and me tonight and lots of good stuff. So I'll throw it over to you, Pete. Away we go.
Thank you very much, Phoenix, and welcome everybody once again to Tuesday Night Live of the Big Footy Adelaide Crowcast. Great to have you all with us again tonight. We've got a huge show lined up tonight and very, very excited, of course, to have Jarryd Lyons, the number 31 for the Adelaide Crows. Terrific to have him along tonight, so stay tuned for that. He'll be along a little bit later, but in the meantime, we will introduce our panellists tonight. We've got Nikki. How are you, Nikki?
I'm very well.
Great to have you on board as usual, and of course the technical whiz and the anchor of the show, Phoenix. How are you tonight, mate?
Good, mate. Ready for a lie down just about, but we're all good.
You've already earned twice your money tonight already. You've done that, as usual, doing a brilliant job. We appreciate it. And, of course, without you, it doesn't go ahead. So thanks as always. All right, let's have a talk about what's happening in the AFL at the moment. Nikki, over to you.
Well, the big news was the Stephen May hit. He ended up getting the 5 matches because he had the 1 week carryover. That means they actually only gave him the 4, which is very interesting in light of Cameron's hit in the NAB Cup where he also got the 4 matches. So they seem to equate them with both, and I think most people kind of looked at it and thought that Mays was probably on the more punishable side. What do you guys reckon?
Personally, I think he got off lightly.
I think it's very light. I don't understand why there's this obsession with looking at what the injury is or what the damage is. I mean, I thought that Gerard Whateley made a really good point last night when he said, we're talking about concussion. Concussion can be a significantly worse injury than a break or any other injury could possibly be. So it really does irritate me a little bit. And I think that I haven't actually read it yet, Nikki. So if that's what he got, I reckon it's pretty poor.
Yeah, it was very interesting. The AFL wanted 5 as a minimum, and his argument, his lawyer's argument was 4. Basically, he showed remorse, which he did, and his press conference afterwards when he came out, he's taken complete and utter ownership that he stuffed up. He's completely at fault, and yep, he basically has gotten what he deserved in a way. So it's good that he did that, and from what I understand, as soon as he actually saw the replay on the big screen, he realised exactly how bad it was, and he apologised immediately to Lions players on the ground. So I wonder whether that kind of was on the weight of the tribunal's mind that gave him a little bit more leniency because he's fessed up straight away and realised he's done something wrong. But he's definitely got form.
Well, fair to say too that G. Ablett contributed to the whole mess as well, and I reckon that might have contributed to the probably the light side of the penalty because he's given him a fair old shove into May's path.
How the hell has he gotten away with that? And if there's anybody else, I reckon there would have been a huge storm. And I reckon it was just disgraceful conduct. And there's no doubt that he pushed him into it. And I just thought it was really, really poor play. But, of course, because it's Gazza and he's a golden child, he gets away with it. And that really, really annoyed me, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny when you got Robbo complaining about Eddie's little push in the back, well, the shoulder blade, and how much that affected the game and everything else. And he kind of did a little bit on AFL 360. He kind of talked a bit about Gazza pushing him into the path, but he didn't go as angry as what he did about Eddie, which was kind of amusing in the wrong way to me.
Oh, well, as far as May's concerned, he's been suspended and he has really, really let his team down because he's got probably the competition's tallest and the most potent forward line coming to town, and the Gold Coast defence has been absolutely depleted now that he's gone as well. I think Rory Thompson injured as well. So with North Melbourne coming to town and those 3 tools, they will be in a world of hurt, I'm tipping, by late Saturday night.
Yeah,
and incidentally, North really have struggled to actually beat the Gold Coast up there. So North might actually finally get their first win. And I mean, in a way, it's good for us because he does miss our game. Did you guys hear what Lepich was considering? Or he thought there should be an eye for an eye punishment, that whatever you get as your penalty, the final game, you can play until you face that opposition team, and then you've got to sit one out because you punished that team. I can't see how it works, and Leper is different, very much a strange cat.
That sounds incredibly complex to me, and I had absolutely no understanding of what that's about, so I can't imagine any football club being able to understand that.
I actually don't mind the premise. I don't mind what he's trying to achieve, which is basically, we lost a player for a good portion of the game, so the next time you play us, you've got to lose the player that caused that the last time. But in practice, I just don't think it's workable.
Yeah.
I just can't see how what if you don't play him again for the season? Does it carry it over to the next year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
What happens if they get traded?
Exactly. So
do you punish the new team?
Good in theory, and there's probably a bit of emotion behind it as well, because it certainly did potentially put Brisbane at a disadvantage, losing their ruckman. But yeah, just unfortunately not workable, I don't think. And
the other big game changer today is finally we're no longer going to have a replayed grand final. They'll play an extra time on period, split into two halves, and if at the end of that time on period the grand final is still tied up, then it goes to a golden point. So whoever scores first wins.
Don't like the golden point.
But how it's going to be so rare to get to that, I think, because you've got those two little extra quarters in a way, or those two little halves. You'd think that how rare is it going to be that if the game's tied up at the end of the proper time, then with the extra time it's still tied up. You've got to try and find a way to deadlock it.
I like it. I think it's a really good idea, and I think it's much better than what we've got with a replay at the moment. It's just archaic, and let's get the thing decided on the day. I think it's a much better idea, to be honest.
I just don't want a golden point. The aim of the game, the name of the game is to kick goals. Anyone can run a point through, but in order to kick a goal, you have to kick it through two big sticks. And I think to win such an important game, you need to have a golden goal. And I hope they sit down and go, "Oops, that was silly. Let's change it."
And Vardy Magic has made a good point that this no replay decision has cost them a lot of money, because they did. I mean, they sold out again, the Saints Collingwood one. And to be fair, that actually meant a lot of the supporters finally actually did get to watch their team play in a grand final, when normally they can't, because most of the allocation goes to people who bought packages earlier on the year and all the corporates, not the actual supporters of the club.
I wonder if scheduling played a part in it too. Haven't looked at the cricket season coming up, but you'd imagine it'd be a fair squeeze, trying to squeeze another one in.
Yeah, because there's a lot more cricket being played now, particularly with the T20s coming in as well, and that league taking off. I mean, to be fair, it is good that they've finally actually realised that they have interstate teams, and travelling to one place to play is a bit detrimental if you're having to make them back up again. But, maybe 20 years too late.
Yeah, I like everything about it except the point. And if I haven't made that clear, I'd like to make that clear. I don't like the point.
Anything else piquing your interest tonight that happened across the week?
Oh, it's just the Johannes.
The point of the point.
The point of the point is Johannesson injury. I think they were saying he's going to be out about 10 weeks, which that's a fairly horrific hamstring that he did do. And the Bulldogs are going to be very interesting to watch from here, because losing him and Murphy, they really do get a lot of that drive off the half back. So will the Bulldogs be able to do what we've done and rejig their game plan a little bit, as we saw with the Sydney one, how we didn't concentrate on our run-off half back so much, it was more the midfield. But are they going to have to change it purely because of personnel, not their opponent? I think they're going to be quite interesting to watch this weekend.
We'll take a couple of weeks to find out. I reckon, Nikki, they've got Brisbane at Etihad this week, and I think that they'll take care of them. I think the emotion of the Stephen Martin thing obviously won't carry over for a second week, and they'll dispatch Brisbane fairly easily, and it'll be the second week against North Melbourne. That will be interesting to see how that goes there.
Yeah, that one's going to be very interesting. There's this weekend is quite a good bunch of games. There's not too many duds. And initially we thought the Collingwood Essendon Anzac Day game was just going to be an absolute bore fest, and who's going to tune in for this? To be fair, I actually haven't tuned into it for a number of years because I don't really care about those two teams. But it looks like it might actually be a close game.
Well, I'm happy to report that I've actually got tickets to that game, and I will be in attendance, as I will for the Hawthorn Adelaide game. But, interesting. Something that I always wanted to do, and I decided the family will go over for that, and we thought it was going to probably end up being a bit of a dud, but as it's turned out, it might be an interesting afternoon.
Yeah, I think it will be a very interesting afternoon. Now, you have to cheer loudly for all of us on Friday night, and I hope you're as good luck for the team like you were against the Western Bulldogs final.
I will indeed, and but I'm certainly looking forward to Monday and the experience of being at an Anzac Day clash. We'll head across to a dawn service, of course, and a bit of a breakfast at the RSL, and make a day of it, and really looking forward to getting down. I really think that the atmosphere will be the same, and I think that there'll still be a whole lot of people there, and I think it'll be a great day. And I think that there's probably a little bit more interest in the result, and to see where the Bucks will be hung, drawn, and quartered by about 5 o'clock.
Well, I think too that Collingwood's demise has probably given a little bit of impetus to the Bomber supporter base. So you probably see some more Bomber supporters there than you might otherwise see, because they'd probably be sniffing a little bit of blood, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think that they'll be keen, and but honestly, I think the occasion will get to everybody. I think that even if, because obviously people would go regularly, I'd imagine, to that fixture, and I imagine as the day gets close that they'll realise that it's a good thing to do, and it'll be a great day, however the result goes, I think.
I honestly think, though, the AFL needs to take it away from those two teams and do what the SANFL does, which is the grand final replay. I think the SANFL's, that's brilliant how they do that's the first time we actually see those two teams meet again the following season. But I'm pretty sure the AFL won't do it because the SANFL already does.
Well, I think it's probably more to do with contracts and agreements between Collingwood and Essendon and the AFL. I mean, I think the SANFL Anzac Day clash certainly doesn't lose anything by having different teams every year. And being the first meeting of the previous year's premiers and runners-up is certainly a good theme for the game. I reckon it'd be great for Anzac Day in the AFL, but you'll never see it.
No.
Not in Eddie's lifetime, anyway.
No, some things they just can't get their head out of and change. To be fair, though, Pete, I actually think the best football game in the AFL in terms of respecting the Anzac tradition, I love how Freo do it. I always make a point of tuning into that game and watching the pre-game stuff that they do. I don't know, it's just something about how they do it just seems to speak to me a bit better than this Collingwood Essendon one. I know that one happens on the day, but I don't know, there's just something that's always rubbed me the wrong way, I think, or possibly it's just Collingwood and Essendon.
Quite possibly, I'm not sure. And I actually I haven't had a close look at the Freo one. What do you sense is different about it?
I know it's just the pre-game stuff that they do with all the veterans out there, and the focus is actually more on the veterans. There's not so much about the players being out there and everything else. Whereas the Collingwood Essendon one, everything they tend to do, the pre-match stuff, there tends to be something that the teams are always involved with part of it, whereas the Freo one, there's I think a respectful step back and it's more about the veterans, and they have their World War II guys as well as a lot of the Vietnam vets out there, and Yeah, there's just something about that Freo one that's always I've found to be more genuine to do with respecting the veterans.
Well, the reality is certainly what I'm looking for as a veteran myself is to say who's going to give me free beers from the medals. That's what it's really all about.
Oh, totally. That's the good way. Shall
So
we have? No, go ahead, Pete.
No, you go, Nikki.
I was just going to say we should probably start talking about that nice little game on the weekend because you were there as well. And Phoenix and I have had a little chat on Sunday night, but we would be very interested to hear your thoughts, particularly Rat's awesome celebration.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to mention.
And now we have to go to a commercial break.
We had, interestingly enough, David King, of all people, the ultimate Adelaide hater, who actually went on TV and said this was believe it or not, the best game of the AFL season so far, played at the AFL's best venue. Did anybody catch him say that?
Oh, yes.
Yes, the AFL's best venue. So that's where we're at. Yeah, look, I went along on Saturday night. It was an absolutely brilliant evening. It just had everything, and the atmosphere was just amazing. It was just one of those nights where the Adelaide crowd were in full voice, and hard to explain just how the atmosphere was. It was just electric, and one of those games where you never ever felt comfortable that you were over the line, and it kept the crowd engaged right from the very, very start to the final siren. It was just amazing. Can't speak highly enough about the game, and can't speak highly enough about the way we played. And you know, we'd spent the previous weeks talking about game plans and how we played in the last couple of weeks, and all that just seemed to go out the window a little bit. And I made the point the other day that I felt that it seemed to be less about system than just individual brilliance, and there was a lot of individual brilliance. There was a lot of just getting the ball to the right areas, and then just individual talent taking over and doing just some amazing things. Sorry, mate.
From both sides, that was a feature of the night. Individual efforts from both sides.
Absolutely, Phoenix, and we shouldn't forget just how good Sydney were. And you're absolutely right. There was just some incredible performances on both sides of just individual brilliance. It's the best way I can describe it. Thoroughly enjoyable night.
I would say though that there was a system for both sides, and they were trying very much to stick to it. But both of those systems allow those brilliant moments to shine through, or actually allow those players to take those risks. Definitely Sydney were trying to expose us out the back, therefore those runs over the back that they were getting goals of. So that's why they had Heaney, and that's why they were trying to isolate Franklin and being able to turn us around and run back on a fast break. And it was the way we were lowering our eyes and playing a slightly little tweak to our system, but there was still a system there.
Oh, there's certainly a system in terms of moving the ball, and I think you're right. They got probably more of their goals in terms of getting out the back of us, but we certainly got very, very little in terms of out the back of them. And I can think of McGovern's 2 goals. Both were just bits of brilliance. One was, off one step, left foot, outside 50, kicks a goal. And, of course, the other miraculous goal that he kicked, the Seedsman snap, the Douglas snap, the Eddie Betts from the boundary line in the first quarter. I mean, you can just go through a whole list of goals that, there was nothing about sort of, you think about how we got the goals against Port and even Richmond, where there was that getting behind their zones and there was real system and they were easy goals. These were hard goals. These were hard goals.
Every possession was contested. Every possession was fought for, and that's what made it such a satisfying win. I think it was just the fact that at no point was any quarter given by either team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I just love the reaction of the crowd and also the reaction of McGovern, that little trap he did, and then the little quick glance around so that he knew that he could settle to kick it. And, he's only in his 4th game of AFL and he's playing like he's played 100 games. You look at a backline, how young that actually is. Really, Cheney is the old head down there. He had an amazing game. That run past Mitchell to when they were trying to do a fast break, that was just stunning. And the commitment there was, you just kind of saw him go past him. It's like, I didn't know Cheney could run that fast.
No, it was lucky it was Mitchell.
Yeah, true.
I don't think he would have got past Buddy somehow.
Yeah, I actually quite liked Hardigan a couple of times, was matched up against Buddy and he did okay against him. But when he was matched up against Tippett, those were some pretty good contests, and Hardigan definitely won those.
I thought Hardo played really well. In fact, our tools down back did very well, and I'll include Cheney and Lever in that. I mean, Lever tried to get in the hole as much as possible in the snake pit. Hardigan and Cheney, third man up in marking contests. Tails one-on-one towards the end there with Buddy, a couple of crucial contests. Cheney made a couple of blues, and he's that kind of player, I think.
Yeah.
But you feel like the back line is more solid with him there, and I don't know whether I'd feel the same way with a Sam Shaw in those circumstances, or even a Ricky Henderson. So I'm quite happy with his work so far.
But there were heroes all over the ground. There's no doubt about that. And one of the things that I think I managed to, in amongst all the excitement, I managed to tap into my phone during the game, was that I really just didn't want to hear any criticism of any players at all, because at the game you could really sense just how hard it was, and how intense it was, and how much pressure there was, and just to be out there and just to be able to get a kick was a really, really good effort. I just didn't want to hear anybody criticised at all, because it's just such hard work out there on Saturday night.
Well, if it was a tennis match, you would have seen the stats saying very low unforced errors, because just about every error that was committed was under intense pressure. Even if it was implied pressure, the pressure was palpable from start to finish.
Watching the replay, people had said that Miller had been quiet, but once I've gone back and now finally actually watched the game, he was in and under. He was doing some nice little hard little work, some great little handballs. He didn't have the space that he has previously, but he was still being really quite creative. So that everybody wants to see this high possession games. Hanbury got 38. That's nice. They didn't win.
And speaking of some heroic moments, what about Jarryd Lyons' effort in the last quarter? Obviously, we love to see Rat kick that beautiful goal, but that handball on his hands and knees, on his wrong hand, when he was he was distressed because he was injured, and to get that handball, that ball had to be right where it was for Rat to run onto.
Oh, it was perfect.
Yeah, it didn't break stride.
As soon as he heard the voice, it was kind of interesting, because if you go back and watch it, I'm pretty sure it's on the plays of the round on the club YouTube page. And there's Eddie and there's Jarryd, and I'm trying to remember who our other player was that helped spoil the ball from Smith. That Jarryd was the first one to kind of trap it, and then Eddie kind of comes through and helps shuffle it forward, but then it pops back towards Jarryd, who's on his hands and knees just kind of watching what's going on, and all of a sudden he just snaps into action. And as soon as he grabs it, you can see Atkins just move, arm out in front, and obviously he's just yelled out here. And it's just that one quick look and bang, that handball. It, as you said, Peter, it was perfect. It was great skill execution.
Well, he's really in the end. Sorry, go on, Pete.
I was going to say he's really impressed me since he's come onto the side. And I was just thinking before, Phoenix, wouldn't it just be great if the Crowcast actually had an opportunity to speak to Jarryd Lyons?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Pete, because not so long ago this evening we actually did. I know you're getting on a bit, so maybe memory's fading a bit, but you, myself and Nikki actually spoke to Jarryd Lyons, so Do we want to have a listen and hear what he's got to say?
I reckon it might be a good idea, mate.
All right, mate. We'll kick it off.
Thanks very much, Phoenix. And we're a very special guest tonight, obviously, on the Crowcast, Jarryd Lyons tonight. How are you tonight, Jarryd?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you guys?
Very well, and thanks very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Look, when we do interview, we try and not go into too much detail in terms of the game and all the rest of it. We do like to know what's happening with you guys, though, and we hear that actually you're pretty hot on the golf course. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't mind my golf outside of footy. It's probably a little hobby of mine. I do to, I suppose, get away from the game and get my head out of footy for a little while.
What are you playing off, mate?
At the moment, I'm off about 5.
Oh, beauty!
So,
playing at Glenelg or somewhere else?
I played Glenelg today actually, but I'm a member at Grange.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's just opposite the club, which is easy.
If you're playing off 5, you sound like you're understating it a bit there. And we understand there was a bit of a player-coach tournament that went on there. How did you go playing against the coach?
We played one hole at Glenelg and he got me. He got me by a shot. So Pikey's he's a pretty good golfer. I think he's been playing for many years. He's off about scratch now, so he's probably the best golfer at the club at the moment, which is something to catch for me, I guess.
In light of that, Jarryd, was it strategic to hit towards the water so to make sure you might get a game?
Yeah, just make sure I give him give him a confidence boost, I guess. But no, I knew I was going to hit it in the water as soon as I said it. So it was good. It was good fun. It was a good day actually. The Crows Golf Day. It's always good fun.
Is that something that's important, Jarryd, in terms of getting away from the pressures of the game to be able to get out there and make that a bit of relaxation for yourself and also just enjoy a bit of each other's company out in the golf course in an environment like that?
Yeah, I think it's important as players. Like it's very easy to get stuck in the sort of 24/7 footy world, I guess, and these days there's so much scrutiny on the game and all the media and everything. It's nice just to have something to I guess take your head away from the game. I mean, I know Sloaney loves going surfing, and there's a lot of different blokes just enjoy doing different things, and it's just something that keeps you busy, and obviously footy's not going to be there for your whole life, so you got to enjoy the other things, which is golf's something that could probably play till I'm about 70, so it's good to get into.
Now, just getting into the footy from the weekend, but there's one thing that we've noticed, but it seemed to start last year, but it's gone to another level this year, seems to be the composure of the team. And I think a perfect example was you on the weekend, that left-hand handball you did to Atkins to set up that goal. Is it something specific that's been worked on at training, or is it more organic due to what we've noticed, which is like with Walshy and Campo and now Pike seeming to have this quite calm demeanour on game day?
I guess it's something. Composure is something you're sort of almost born with. I guess it's sort of hard to teach, but I mean, we've just worked on our skills a lot more, and I guess when you hit targets, it makes it look like you compose rather than the ball hitting the ground, and then it's such a scramble. So we worked hard on our skills. I mean, last year I think we were 17th for kicking and handballing in the comp, so that was a big focus for our pre-season. And I think if you can keep the ball in the body, it just gives you a lot more time to find your next player and move the ball down the field.
So do you think that then builds on with you working on the skills, that you see that there's this trust going on, that you know what everybody else can do, whether that's kind of leading into that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think we sort of everyone sort of works on their 80-20 kick, which is just an 80% kick where 8 times out of 10 you'd hit that kick, and everyone's got a different percentage in terms of their ability to hit those kicks. So we just work around each other, and there's definitely a lot of trust in the group now, and we're starting to see that on game day.
Do you actually, like on the ground, I know it's intense and high pace and all the rest of it, but do you actually place yourself on the ground depending on who's got the ball? Like, say, if Smithers got the ball, you're happy that he's going to kick it 60, but maybe someone else like Lairdy, you might lead in a little bit closer. Does it get to that extent, or is it all a bit more instinctive?
You do think about those things. I mean, if it's more of a slow play. I mean, when we're just kicking it up the line, you definitely have to adjust for blokes who can kick at 60 as opposed to those who kick at 45 to 50. But I guess that's more for the ruckmen who are placing themselves down the line than us mids more than anything.
Yeah. And obviously Hawthorn are a team that like to crowd up and put pressure on the ball carrier, and they obviously like to possess the ball as well when they've got it. So I guess it's been emphasised perhaps this week, disposal efficiency even more so.
Yeah, I think Hawthorn have been the pinnacle of sort of that kick mark and disposal efficiency over the last 3-4 years. So that's something that we've worked on, and definitely this week, if you can, obviously keep the ball out of their hands, it'll go a long way to winning the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I noticed that you had a bit of a finger issue last weekend. Someone, a runner, come out and tell you to pull your finger out or something, or how is the finger?
No, it was my hand. I got it stood on actually, so
right.
That wasn't pleasant. I had a few stud marks in my hands and on my knuckles. So, but no, it's come good now.
All good.
Yeah, all good to go.
Yeah, just one thing that to following on what we were talking about before, and Pikey mentioned it last week in the presser after the game. It looks like we're playing a little bit more flexible. If you look over the games that we played so far this year, certainly the Sydney game seemed to be a little bit different than the first couple. Is that something that just happens on the fly based on the opposition, or did you guys go out with a slightly tweaked game plan against Sydney?
Yeah, we do, I guess, an opposition meeting every week, and the behind the scenes work that goes into every game is it's very in depth now. So we've got coaches who relay all that information from the games before, and we'll tweak the game plan in terms of the opposition we come up with each week. I mean, some teams play totally different to others, so we're always going to go in with occasional different strategies in terms of the way we want to move the ball or in the way we defend. So that's definitely something we look at during the week and study, I guess, in terms of opposition teams.
Yeah, a couple of the commentators did mention our forward 50 entries were slightly different, and it also seemed to be we were just not rebounding so much off half back, but trying to crowd the middle a little bit more. Would that be a fair call?
Yeah, I mean, Sydney moved the ball so quickly through the middle of the ground, and that was something we definitely looked at doing was just slowing their ball movement up and then attacking from there. So that seemed to work pretty well on the weekend.
Now we got an American guy on our boards, and he actually knows a little bit about footy. He's not an Aussie, he's not an expat, he's actually a Seppo. And he put up a question asking whether the midfield as a group have kind of got a bit of steel about them this year to prove a point, given the defection of Paddy, or whether it's just change in coach, change in game plan that has seen a pretty cohesive unit come out onto the park this year.
Well, to be honest, we don't talk about Paddy too much. I mean, what's done is done. I guess it's the media who tends to bring it up more than anything. But as a group, I mean, we started a journey last year, I guess, from the start of the year, and then I think what Walshy sort of brought down to us is definitely, obviously last year was something, but we've improved again on it this year, and Pikey's just built on that as well. So we built a really good baseline last year, and now the group's played a few more games together, and we've brought in some new guys as well who have come in, like Seedsman, who's come in and played a role for us. So I think there's just a good feeling about the group and a good trust amongst the group at the moment.
Now, how good did you feel when the announcement was official that the sub-vest was going to be scrapped for this year? But also, I heard that there was a little secret Santa that went on amongst the players, and somebody might have given you a sub vest as the present. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. For my Secret Santa this year, I got the sub vest, which was a bit of a laugh. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think
didn't you already have 18?
Yeah, I think I had an 18 or something like that. Yeah, I had the record for the Crows, that was for sure. So at least that's something I'll take out of my career at the end. I think there was whispers about the sub vest going sort of to the middle of the last year, and yeah, that was something that I was pretty excited about. I mean, yeah, it definitely gives me a bit more opportunity, and yeah, it's been nice to come in and actually play a couple of full games, which is good.
Now, did you figure out who was your Secret Santa yet?
Was it Griggy?
Yeah. No, it was Matt Crouch. those Crouch boys.
Do they actually crack on at training, or is it pretty sedate?
I've seen a couple of little bits at training, but no, they're not. They're not as bad as everyone says they are. They tend to be pretty tame.
Older and wiser.
Yeah, that's it.
Jarryd, can I just ask you a question? Just about you got a lot of admirers out there, just in relation to your dedication to the club and the fact that you've been, there quite a while, and it hasn't come easy for you to break into the side. Can I just ask you a little bit about your journey? If you could just explain to the listeners what it's been like to have to, I guess, to slog hard and to actually, really fight over a number of years to try and get into the position that you are now.
Yeah, I guess it was. It was a tough few years there, sort of in and out of the side, and with the sub vest coming in, it made it really hard to cement a spot. But I mean, I love the footy club and I love being here. And at no stage where I really want to just walk away from it all. And I guess it's nice to finally get in the side. But by no means am I cemented my spot yet. But yeah, it's good to be in a position where I'm playing good footy and I guess enjoying my footy, because there's probably periods there where it was pretty tough in terms of just constantly in and out. But yeah, it's been a good start so far. So fingers crossed that it'll keep going.
Was it primarily the football club, or was there something about the city that you're obviously quite happy living here? Was it or was it just a combination of a number of things that made it easy for you to continue your journey here?
Yeah, I guess it's a very good footy club there. It's built around good people. There's a lot of good people at the club, and I've got some good mates here. I guess being from Victoria, it would have been easy to go back, but I mean, I was enjoying my footy, whether it was in and out, and I guess it was a number of things that led me to stay. But I mean, I'm now obviously it's probably paid off slightly at the moment, and as long as I can keep going and enjoy my footy, I'll be happy.
Does senior blokes get around you when you're sort of on the cusp there, like you and Griggy and a few others are sort of a little bit in and out, Riley Knight? Do they get around you and encourage you and help you to keep pushing through?
Yeah, I mean we've got a good leadership group at the club. Blokes like Sloaney, Tomo, Charles, Tex, they're all terrific blokes, and they're always there to have your back. And I mean, Tommy Lynch is someone who probably went through it as well at the start of his career, so he's someone I've spoken to as well. And yeah, it's just all about persistence, really. I mean, there's always going to be a spot opening up here and there. I mean, it's such a tough game these days. So, I mean, by no means can you take your foot off the pedal and let someone else take that spot. So, yeah, once you get there, you just got to hold on and just keep playing well, really.
Now, we interviewed David McKay a couple of weeks ago, and we asked him a couple of questions, and we thought we'd sort of stick with those questions and see if we get any different answers. The first one we wanted to know was, who's the best sledger on the training track?
The best sledger, I'd say, is probably Tex, the captain himself. He's very, very good on the lip, old Tex.
Yep, so that's exactly the same answer. And the other one is because the Newsweek about the time when we interviewed DMAC was about sleep room that's been sort of expanded down at the club. Who's the one person, when you walk into the sleep room, you kind of tend to turn around and walk straight back out of because you know you're not going to get a rest?
Oh, okay. So the bloke that would talk so much. I guess Matty
or snores.
Matty Yench was that bloke that was always in your ear. But at the moment, who would it be? Probably Charlie Cameron.
Oh, there's left field.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, he's very chatty, old Charlie. Yeah.
We had Chief from DMAC, so fair to say it'd be.
Oh yeah, that's a very close second. Yeah, there's not a lot of sleep around old Tom.
Well, on that note, is there a little redhead collective going on? Do they kind of sit together as a little band, or the little redheads we've now seemed to have at the club?
It is quite funny actually when one of them gets picked on, they all start piping up. They kind of do stick together. So it's almost a race at the club now.
Yeah, it's either the redheads or the Rorys.
Yeah,
Jarryd Lyons with sandy brown hair. How are you going to stick out, mate? With pink boots or something?
There's plenty of sort of brown hair and sort of 6 foot blokes at our footy club. So yeah, I'm quite happy the way I am. I don't really need to stand out. Hopefully, let the footy do the talking.
No, do nicely.
I have to say, Joe, one of my favourite players, Rory Atkins, seems to be establishing himself on the side. Is he as annoying as he might possibly seem to be? Just one of those guys, almost in the Jench mould.
Yeah, the old rat we call him. He's quite a funny guy. He's very good at a prank or two. He does enjoy getting under blokes' skins, but he's probably not as bad as Matty Yench.
I mean, on a slightly serious note, it does seem like there's really good camaraderie at the moment at the club and a pretty tight-knit group. And obviously, the events of last year play a part in that. But do you reckon the club's as united and tight as it's been in your time there?
Yeah, I think obviously the club's been through a lot. I've only been there for 6 years, but we've had a lot go on, and it's certainly brought the group closer. And at the moment, I guess we're a very tight knit group, and seeing as though we've been through what a lot of other football teams would never go through, it's certainly made a difference. Yeah.
Joe, we're really, really grateful for the time that you spent. We know it's a short week and you've just come off the track and you've got quite a bit on your plate. So we're really, really grateful that you've been able to spend a few minutes with us, giving us some of the insights to the club. So thank you very much, Joe. We do appreciate it.
No problem at all, guys. Happy to do it.
Loving your work, mate, this year. Keep it going.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Pleasure. Take care.
Mate.
All the best for Friday.
Thanks,
you.
Jarryd.
See you later.
And there it was, our little chat with Jarryd. Throw it back to you, Pete.
And
Thanks,
the silence.
I'm sorry, I just caught me on the hop. Wasn't it great to be able to have a chat to Jarryd? I reckon he's he's a brilliant lad, and I think it's great the way that he has stuck out. I tell you what, I reckon he's made of pretty stern stuff to be able to have fought through what he's fought through and get himself into the side.
It's very interesting because when I was going through and doing a little bit of research for some of those questions we were doing, and the things we kind of didn't get to put in there, and I did actually say it in the chat, I actually found out that his his TER score was high enough for him to get into physio, and he was contemplating doing that. So he's not your typical dumb footballer. We've got some smart ones down there.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? That Riley O'Brien, I think, is one of those that is a very, very smart lad, and we obviously know the ex-captain VB is also highly intelligent. So it's interesting, they all come from different backgrounds, of course.
I got to mention that. Sorry, I got to mention in the chat, Froggy's just come up with a classic one-liner. At the end of the interview, we should have said, "Sorry, mate, we've got to sub you out because we've got another player coming in." We missed an opportunity there, Pete.
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
Actually,
couldn't possibly hope to compete with Froggy on the one-liners.
Very true. But interestingly, out of those 18 sub-vests that he actually has 2 red ones. So he did start on the ground and then got subbed off twice.
Yeah.
So 16 times he actually started on the bench and then came on. But we always knew when he came on to the sub that you were going to get a full-on commitment and he was going to pick up the game quite quickly. And I think, as you just said then, Pete, the resolve and the stern stuff that he must be made of, I think that was actually on show when he was coming on as a sub, that you just knew he would pick up the game straight away, which was quite good.
Yeah, never dropped his head once, has he? Hey, look, it was awesome to have him on, and if anyone from the club happens to listen to this at some point, we do appreciate it very much, getting access to the players and staff down there. So thanks once again to the Adelaide Footy Club.
Yeah, incredibly grateful. Guys, just moving along, looking at Friday night's game, a game that I'll be at, which I'm very, very grateful for. How do we see that panning out? I think it's going to be a really, really difficult assignment. I really do.
It is, but if we bring that same kind of intensity and desire that we did against Sydney, we could win this. I don't have any fears about it. If we drop the game, it all depends on how we perform throughout it as to how I'll feel at the end of it. Is that what you guys are thinking?
Well, time gone past, I would have thought Hawthorn at the G was a very tough assignment because of the type of game plan that we had. I've got to say, aside from the obvious worry about whether we can back up after the Sydney match in 6 days, I actually think our game plan is exactly the type of game plan that you need on the MCG to beat Hawthorn, because it is so big, it is so wide, and there'll be plenty of opportunities for us to get out behind Hawthorn's nice little cluster, and as long as we can hold their key players and hold our own resolve in terms of our own game plan, I think we're going to give it a real shake. In fact, I'm actually less worried about this game than I was against the Swans.
Yeah.
I'd have to go against both of you there. One of the real things that concerns me, and I can't recall who it was, but someone made the point through the week, and that is that Hawthorn are just very, very good at working out who potential challengers are, who is being talked up as somebody that's going to be the next big thing, and they just seem to be able to reserve their best for smacking down the new kid on the block. They're very, very good at making a statement in that way, and I just think that they will really, really set themselves for this game.
And all I can say to that is bring it on. If we want to play finals,
of course, we've got to be able to combat that. But I just think that this will be a very, very, very difficult assignment, much more difficult than I think it was. Not that Saturday night was easy, but just think that Hawthorn play the ground so well. They play so many games there. They just know every blade of grass. It will be very, very, very difficult.
I'm actually going to be interested.
They're not playing well at the moment, though.
Not particularly, no. I'm going to be interested to see whether we try and get up in their faces like a lot of teams try and do to dispossess them, or whether we actually allow them a little bit of possession in their back half and do the whole regrouping around half-back, which we seem to do quite successfully against Port and Richmond. I know it's a step up in class, but you wonder sometimes whether trying to dispossess such a well-drilled and efficient disposing team as Hawthorn is just a fruitless task, and we may actually try to clog it up across half-back and then rebound. It's going to be a very interesting strategic game, I think.
Yes, we can say that they're not playing well, but it's interesting, isn't it, when people are talking about West Coast as being, the once again being one of the primary challenges and almost guaranteed top four spot. What do we see? They turn up at the MCG. What happens? And this is only 1 week after Geelong, who I think are terribly overrated. 1 week later, Hawthorn come out and they absolutely smack West Coast. I mean, it wasn't even close. They smacked them.
To be fair, West Coast are Hawthorn's bitches, and they've come out last weekend And
last time we beat Hawthorn, Rory Sloane was playing his first game.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I think since West Coast have come to the fore, they've played pretty much the same style for that period of time, and Hawthorn have got their measure. We're not the same Adelaide Crows outfit that has been up against them the last few years, and I'm particularly encouraged by the way in which St Kilda were able to cut them up through the middle, not just once or twice, but quite regularly. And I think pace is going to be where Hawthorn are a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I think we and the Saints actually have a similar-ish kind of that game plan, that run off of half-back. And I think we've got a little bit more class than St Kilda do in terms of being able to execute it. Saints actually scare me in future. I think they're going to be a team very much on they're a team very much on the rise. But I have to pull you up there, Peter. That's the last time we beat Hawthorn on the MCG was Sloane's first game. We have beaten them since, but that was here.
Right, well then someone must have supplied incorrect information. That was something I read
Pete.
today. No,
Yeah, it was
someone. Who was it? Someone supplied information today on one of the threads, and I read it. That so
yeah, it was on the MCG.
Yeah. Anyway,
so it's correct about that.
And the other thing, is that Western Bulldogs. Now here we go again. Western Bulldogs. Going to be one of the challenges this year, playing at the fortress that is Etihad Stadium. Hawthorn find a way to win.
And that's what we've got to do. And I think the way we're starting to play, the way our coaches are, and as we talked with Jarryd, that composure that we have, Sydney were throwing everything at us and we still stood up. And I think there's going to be a fair bit of support for us there. And I think there's going to be a whole lot of neutrals that are actually going to turn up to that game as well on Friday night. The other interesting thing is Gleno 23 on the board actually pointed out we're number one for first quarters this season. That also includes our NAB Cup. That's a complete turnaround from us from last year.
Yeah, I think we can look at last week's game and say, well, Hawthorn only just beat St Kilda and they're not playing very well, but they've still beaten two almost guaranteed top four teams. They've beaten the Western Bulldogs, they've beaten West Coast. So to be able to do that, they've got to be in reasonable form. They might have had a bit of a soft patch, but even then they still find a way to win last week. So look, sorry to be cutting against the grain. I just don't think we'll beat them on Friday night. I think that we'll play well. We'll put up a good fight, but I can't see us losing by any more than 3 to 4 goals. But I think that I'd still be going Hawthorn somewhere between that 10 to 24 point region.
Well, I did tip Sydney by 4 to 5 last week, Pete. So,
nice, well done, mate.
It's one of those games. And you get a feeling, and you have a different perspective. I don't know. The two things that are going to concern me is whether we can back up, and how much a factor the Burgoyne 300 is going to play in terms of Hawthorn getting up for the game as well.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. That's another thing, isn't it?
Yeah. They might kind of step up for that. I'm trying to think. I think is it Eddie's 50th game or something for us? So there we go. We've got a milestone for us too.
Whatever happens, look, no doubt it'll be a ripping game. I cannot wait because I reckon it'll be heaving there at the G on Friday night. Friday night football, Hawthorn draw a big crowd. We have a lot of we always draw a good crowd at the MCG.
Yeah.
I reckon somewhere between 50 to 70,000, somewhere around there, I'm tipping.
Massive for a Friday night.
And it would be awesome as well for our guys to play in front of a crowd like that, and with the expectation and knowing
for an interstate
that.
Team,
yeah.
Normally, Melbourne teams you'd get, but for an interstate team playing there and to still be able to get somewhere between 50 to 70, I reckon it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it.
Okay, who's going to come in for Millerer?
Oh, CC, obviously, I would have thought.
Yeah,
Riley
I reckon
Knight
Charlie.
Riley Knight for me. I think that Riley closer in terms of role that what Miller has been playing. I don't think that Miller has been playing a role that sorry, let me get this right. If Charlie comes in, he not only does he play his first game back for the club, but I think that he plays a different role than what he's ordinarily used to playing. Miller is not a small forward. He wasn't playing a small forward's role. He wasn't playing the role that Charlie was playing last year. That role's gone to McGovern. And so if Charlie comes in, he's got to be playing basically a wing position, moving towards half forward, which is where Miller was playing. And so I just think that Riley Knight, when he was playing last year, was playing a little bit more closely to that kind of role than what certainly than what Charlie was playing. So for me, it would be Riley Knight.
I think you might see, if they do bring Charlie in, Pete, I think you might see Eddie actually playing that higher role. And I think you might see them flipping over a little bit. But I think you might see Eddie playing a little bit further up the ground. Charlie brings us a hell of a lot of forward 50 pressure, and I'd say more than Riley Knight in that regard.
Yeah, but that's not where he's going to be playing.
Well, he is going to be playing around the peripheral, around that 50-metre arc. When the ball's in our forward 50 and we're pushing up to lock it in, that's where Riley Knight's going to be stationed, around that the perimeter there. And I can see points for both players. My gut feel is that Charlie will come in and you'll see him play close to goal, and you'll see Eddie play up and maybe even get some midfield minutes.
I've only watched the one SNFL game, but it was the first one that Charlie was playing, and we were pushing him up to play on the wing every so often as well. And as Matthew Wallace has just said in the chat, Charlie has trained in the middle the preseason. So we've earmarked him that similar kind of role to Miller. So that's why I'm thinking he might come in that respect.
What about the other one, the third one, who I think is a potential is possibly Menzel? I think might be suited to that role and has certainly been playing more of a wing role in the SNFL. What do you think?
Yeah, Frank's just brought that up in the chat, actually. Would be left field. Pivotal game, you wonder about his fitness. But, gee, X Factor, it would be a ballsy selection.
Well, if I was going 1, 2, 3, I'd be going Knight Knight first in, Menzel second in, Charlie third.
I'd have the last two swapped. I don't think Menzel's quite got the tank yet, and on a big oval like the MCG, I don't think we're going to rush him. We're taking the long view with Menzel. I think he'll get games probably mid-year, more towards the end of the season possibly, but not at this stage yet, I don't think.
So you think Nicky Riley for Miller?
I'm still thinking probably Charlie first, but like you, I can see both, but I'm angling slightly more towards Charlie than Riley. But you think, though, if either of those two come in, we're not losing anything.
No, absolutely not. And I think that's the important thing to remember is that, you know, terrific to have that kind of depth to come in and play those roles and you know, absolutely not losing anything at all, whoever goes in.
I'm going to be very interested to see how Tex moves this week. He was obviously very tight during periods of the game last week, and it's a 6-day turnaround. We've been saying for a couple of weeks now that he doesn't look 100%, and this is a big stage. Maybe our in for Miller will have in mind Tex's current condition.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I think we tend to have, as Jarryd said before we actually started the interview, that it was a very light session that they had today. And, yeah, he's still doing his input just as well as last year on averages. So we're thinking he's not playing that well, and yet he's still doing just as good as he was last year. And he had a pretty damn good year. So even if he's 80% fit, that's a hell of a lot to have out there. And I think that, and as Froggy's just said in the chat, big stages are what he's built for. His leadership out on that ground in that last quarter, that presence of mind to do that kick to Eddie, And that other long bomb, which probably should have been deliberate, but, it's just smart. And he's the one who immediately sent the 11 players into the back lines to stop him trying to score.
Yeah,
So
that was on the back of a phone conversation with Pikey. My concern with Tex is that if he's carrying a hip, which I'm starting to wonder whether he is, no better team than Hawthorn to bloody pick it out and start targeting him, and you'd hate for him to miss 2 or 3 on the back of playing at 80%.
Well, he was on radio this morning and said that he had been carrying a niggle, but it was on the improvement. He was getting better. So hopefully the Tex will be fine. Guys, we're getting towards the end of the show. I think maybe just looking towards the weekend. What are we thinking about for tips? For me, I think the Hawks will get up by a little way. Guy, did you want to run through all of them, or we're just looking at the Adelaide tips?
We can run through all of them very quickly. What do you reckon? Do you want me to call them out and you fire away?
Yeah, call them out.
All right, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
One moment, please. All right, so Hawks Sorry, what?
Go ahead.
Hawks of the Crows. Pete, you're going for the Hawks. Nick?
Well, the smart tip, what I'm actually going to do is Hawks, but I'm hoping us.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
No, that way I'm just happy if I get it wrong.
Crows by 5 for me, 5 goals. Saturday we've got Sydney and West Coast at the SCG. Pete?
Sydney.
Jeez, Pete, you changed your voice.
Sydney for me.
Yeah, Sydney for me too. Metricon, we've got Suns and Kangaroos. Interesting game. Pete, what do you reckon?
Kangaroos pretty easily on that one.
Nick?
Well, I'm in two minds about this, but I'm saying Kangaroos just mostly because of May and the back line. But they have struggled up there.
What back line?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, precisely. That's why.
Yeah, on the back of that, I'm going Kangaroos as well. Bullies and the Lions at Etihad. Pete?
Yeah, Bullies pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same there. The Little Brothers in a World of Pain coming up against the Cats at Tarp Oval. Return of danger to Adelaide for the first time this season.
Voldemort.
Yeah. Pete, what do you reckon?
This will go very, very close, and Port not too bad a value on the line, I think, at about plus 12. I think it'll be very, very close. I think Geelong might get up, but I would expect a big reaction from Port in front of their home crowd.
No, I'm going Geelong. I don't think they've got anything to react down there at Port.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I reckon they'd like to react, but there's no bullets in the chamber at Port at the moment, and I reckon the Cats will get up in a bit of a canter. Certainly for Port to win, they're going to have to lift in the midfield. Some of the efforts against GWS were shocking, and if they throw that up against the Cats, it's good night. Sunday, we've got the Saints versus the Giants in an interesting game at Etihad.
GWS comfortably on that one. St Kilda will have a bit of a letdown, I think, from last week, and GWS are all class and will win that game.
I'm going for Saints.
Yeah, this is a real toss-up game for me. My head says the Giants. Saints have got to get over the line soon, but I don't think it's going to be this week, so I'll go the Giants away to St Kilda in a tight one. Dockers at home versus Carlton. That'll be a bloody match to watch. Pete, what do you reckon?
Freo will blast, in the words of an old commentator, they will blast Carlton to the Scheisenhausen. They are they're just about back, and they're just about able to push the choke back in, because up to three-quarter time, they played some really, really good football against North Melbourne and really pushed them, and they just fell away in the last quarter, but I think they're just about there.
Yeah, I agree.
I am going to get really, really, really annoyed at Carlton for helping get the Dockers back on track just before they play us. Thanks, Carlton.
Yeah, I don't think the Dockers hold any real fear to us on current form, but I do think that they'll spank. I think they'll spank Carlton, and I do actually think that they'll sneak back up the table and probably make the 8 this year. Once Rossi stops listening to his Hawthorn assistants, gets back to his way of thinking. We've got the Tigers and the Demons at the MCG on Sunday evening. That's going to be a pretty interesting game, I reckon, Pete.
Yeah, I think the Tigers will get back. I think that if they don't, it's going to be a case of, the old truck full of manure being ordered to pull up to Punt Road. So I think that they'll hit back.
I'm going Melbourne because I think the Tigers are getting at Marriage. Marriage is still a bit underdone, and Max Gawn's actually playing really well for Melbourne.
I don't think there's any way that Richmond win this game the way they're playing at the moment. They are bloody woeful, and the D's aren't playing too bad, and it's just a matter of belief for them, and they get Bernie back this week. I reckon they'll... I don't think Delidio's back yet, is he? For Richmond?
No, he's not, mate.
He's back training, though, so they're anticipating he's going to play VFL this weekend.
Yeah. On the back of that, I can't tip Richmond. I'm going Melbourne there. And obviously the Anzac Day clash that you'll be reporting live from, Pete, on Monday.
Through a very, very hazy hazy report, I expect. Pies for me, mate.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Nick?
Oh,
come on.
I don't know. Yeah, this one's hard. I don't want Essendon to win, but I reckon they might do it. Yeah, I'll go out on a limb. Bombers. I'm going to hate it, but Bombers.
Well, Travis Cloak was on radio today, or some media today, saying he accepted that he had to harden up and grow a pair. I just don't think he's got it in him. I think Collingwood look terrible, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Bombers got up, but I'm going to say that the Maggies are going to sneak home in a very tight one. Beautiful.
Well, I hope it is. It'll be an exciting day. All right, guys, probably time to wrap it up as I look at my iPad and see that I've got about 2% of battery left. So that sounds like as good a reason as any for me to have to bail, I think. That has been a terrific night, as always. And
plug it in.
I haven't got a charger on me at the moment. Bloody kids. As always, a brilliant night. Really enjoy your company, both of you. So enjoy the chat. And can't thank the club enough for supplying Jarryd Lyons for an interview for us. It really does help the show get a little bit of credibility and just gives something that little bit extra for the listeners to get their teeth into. Nikki and Phoenix, thanks very much for your company this evening.
Hurry up, we got to go. The music's running out.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for Tuesday Night Live. Bye now.
See you guys. Thursday for Scorpus' show. Good night.
Thanks.